When people ask, is food a drug, they don't mean, does it fit the classical definition of a drug? Because it doesn't. Because food is not inherently toxic to us. However, when people ask, is food a drug, they often mean, can people become dependent on food? Does it cause that like craving in a similar way that someone with a drug dependency might feeling a craving towards that drug? The short answer is yes, there are similarities between food-seeking behavior and drug-seeking behavior, and that's what we're going to explore today. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Bedoya, and this is Why Wait, and I've helped thousands of university students to understand their body and their mind better in relation to food intake and their weight, so they can better take control of their food behavior and feel a better quality of life. And that's what I want to do for you guys as well. So if it's your second time or third time here, welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you. In today's conversation, I want to look a little bit about food-seeking behavior and compare it to drug-seeking behavior. There are similarities. For one thing, the way food lights up the brain, when we see food, when we smell it, when people talk about it, it lights our brain up in a similar way to how certain drugs light the brain up. So we see similar activation in certain brain pathways with drug-seeking behavior and food-seeking behavior. And in particular, the pathway that seems to be really activated is something called our dopaminergic reward pathway. So this reward pathway is really fascinating, and it's not just centralized in one area. It has effects all around the brain. But when this dopaminergic pathway is activated, people tend to crave a drug or seek a drug or a food a lot more. In science, we don't call this drug craving or food craving, we call it wanting. And wanting is really interesting because wanting isn't the same as liking. You can really want a reward, you can really want the high of food or want the high of a drug, but once you have it, you might not actually enjoy it that much. It's more of the wanting that's a motivator. These dopaminergic pathways, when they light up, when we have increased dopamine release, it causes that seeking behavior, that motivation, the like, oh my God, give me the food. I want the food. Give me the brownie, give me the ice cream. It really lights up and it causes that craving, that motivation. And often we talk about willpower, but willpower can only do so much. That is your thinking brain. It is not your reward center brain. And your reward center brain can be really, really active, and you can use willpower all you like, but it can only override that drive so much. And it seems certain people are more sensitive to these dopaminergic pathways, and maybe that is why certain people have more of what they would call a food addiction or a dependency on food, where they constantly feel this drive to consume. I need it, I need it, I want it, I want it. Another similarity between drug-seeking behavior and food-seeking behavior is that these substances are sometimes used as a way to numb, as a way to numb emotion, as a way to numb feeling. I asked my fourth year students what it feels like when you want to eat but you know you're not hungry, and one of the answers I got is that food-seeking behavior was the desire to feel another emotion. How powerful is that? Some people do seek food, some people do seek drugs as a way to escape feeling. And that's why I believe so much in the connection between mind and body when it comes to establishing a better relationship with food. Because often we use food to numb ourselves. Something's going on and I don't want to feel that way, so I'm going to seek out the high of that food. And that's why my first strategy for dealing with food-seeking behavior is to really work on your emotional well-being and your mental well-being. And I know that that is easier said than done, but ask yourself, are you actually hungry, or are you eating to fill another tank, your emotional tank perhaps? And if that's the case, no judgment. So many of us do that, but maybe it's time to start taking care of yourself better so you feel a better connection with yourself, Perhaps it's with counseling, perhaps it's with better sleep quality, perhaps it's with journaling or meditation or gratitude. These things can help you develop a better relationship with your emotions, which might decrease the need to seek out a substance to numb those feelings. My other suggestion for dealing with food-seeking behavior is to not keep a lot of it around you all the time. Especially try not to keep those really high activating foods around. Processed foods high in a mixture of carbohydrates and fats seem to activate that reward pathway a lot more, even just seeing them. Perhaps try not to keep some of these processed foods in the house, or any foods that really you feel that you have no control over. I'm not saying not to eat them, but if someone has a drug dependency, we would advise them to not keep the drugs around them all the time. And it's the same thing with food. A big difference though between food dependency and drug dependency is you can't just stop eating food. You need to still eat food, which makes it a little bit trickier, because you have to find ways to develop a better relationship with food while still consuming it in a healthy way. So, like I mentioned, it's important to get your emotions and your mental well-being in check by getting better sleep, by more self-care, by journaling, by gratitude, by whatever it takes, by having conversations with friends and getting out the things that you're dealing with. By connection. Another way to deal with food-seeking behavior is to reduce the temptations all around you. Willpower helps to a point. It is limited and it can be exhausted, but having a really strong resolve about wanting to change your food-seeking behavior might help. So in this video, I've given you some understanding of how food-seeking behavior and drug-seeking behavior are similar. If you like this content, subscribe to this channel so I can keep sharing it. Click the bell so you get notified when there's a new video, and comment, let me know what you think, or like this video so I can keep sharing this content with you. I personally really want you to develop a better relationship with food, and I want to do that for myself, and hopefully we can figure this out together. It's been a pleasure. See you next time.